everyone, this is Brad with Addicted to the Q, and I'm going to show you guys how to trim and inject a brisket. I'm doing it for backyard, so it's not going to be the full competition style brisket. The first thing is on the top, you want to take off all of this fat right here. As much of this top fat as possible, because the rubbing will not stick to this fat. Sometimes it's easier to go underneath it and do this. Up here. Take small knife cuts. You don't want to dig too far deep into it. Like I said, I'm just doing a backyard trim, so I'm not going to cut off a whole heck of a lot of meat or fat. If I was doing this for competition, I'd separate the flat from the point. Because while this brisket does look small, it is a full packer brisket. Just trimming off this fat. And this big chunk of fat right here will not render down, will not do anything. So cut off as much of that as humanly possible. It's just thick white fat. It also makes you cook longer. Now, if I was going to separate the flat from the point, you actually go in right through this seam of fat, through right here, and cut it apart, but I'm not going to do that. Now, here comes the fun part. This side, you want to leave about 1/4 inch of fat on it. You don't want take all this fat off because it will dry out your brisket. So like right through here, that's really a hard fat. Up here on the point, it's a little more forgiving. If you want to leave or take a little more fat off, you can, because it's got a lot more fat through it. And then some of this hard fat on the side can go. That's not going to do anything, but it'll just be gross fat. Otherwise, I think this is pretty much 1/4 inch. Around looks pretty good. Okay, so we're ready to start injecting it. Okay, we're getting ready to inject. I'm using its Cosmos Q Reserve Blend, and I just followed the instructions on the back, which is a 1/3 cup injection to 2 cups of liquid. I use water. You can use beef broth, but that sometimes will make it over salty. So I just use regular water. So I'm going to now inject my brisket. I usually go about every square inch. You just kind of stick it in, push it down a little bit. You don't want to overfill it with injection. And yes, it's normal for it to shoot back out a lot. The point I'm kind of filling up, this right here is the point. Filling up because it will take the most injection because it's the thickest part of the brisket. And this injection just kind of gives it a little more of a beefy flavor. Some people use beef broth or beef bouillon or stuff like that, but I like this Cosmos Q. It gives it a nice good flavor, and it has some phosphates in it to keep it moist. And it's normal to actually have a lot of injection left over, at least I always do, but I usually sometimes will pour that into the mixture when I wrap it. One more little go round of injection. Like I said, it's normal for it to squirt out. Alright, I think that pretty well will sum it up. I'll put this back in the fridge till probably 4 in the morning when it's going to go on the smoker tomorrow, so stay tuned. Hello everyone, it's 3 a.m. I'm getting ready to light the smoker, and then we'll put the brisket on. Hopefully we should be done by 9 or 10, and that way I can have a couple hours to rest before we eat about lunchtime. So let's light the pit up. Alright, I got royal oak going in my fire basket with the royal oak fire starter. And so let her go about 10-15 minutes before I put the lid on. Alright, we're back getting ready to season the brisket. The first rub I'm using is the Real Man Meat Barbecue Homestyle rub. This is a good all-around multi-purpose rub. Just put a light coat on. I'm only doing the top side because there's no point in seasoning and rubbing the fat cap. The rub will not stick to it anyway, so you're just wasting rub. Just kind of a light coat. Kind of gives it a good base. The second rub I'm using is the Sofa King Awesome Twisted Texas Rub. Kind of a light coat of that also. I like to use different layers of rub to kind of layer your flavor. Some people argue that the best rub for brisket is salt and pepper, which is good, but I like to use different flavors on my brisket. Oh, the third rub I'm using is Eric Burkhart's Moo Rub. This is great on brisket and steak. Gets a little bit of a heavier coat. All right, we'll let that sweat until we get ready to put it on the smoker. All right, temp of smoker is up to 275. We will get ready to put the meat on. Hang there. All right, she's on. All right, it's time to wrap. It was about 170 internal temperature. So I'm gonna throw in my juice from my injection with my wrap mixture. give it a little liquid, nothing crazy. And then I'm gonna put it back on the smoker till about, well, I go by feel, I don't go by temp, but I'll start temping at about 200, 205, just to make it look tender. I used the foil instead of butcher paper, just so that way I can put liquid in it. You can use butcher paper, it helps build your parts a little better. All right, we'll see how she turns out. All right, the brisket is finished. Let's open her up and see how she looks. She looks good on first glance, has good color to it, decent bark. As you can see, I left the fat cap on, but you could literally just peel it right off. That way you don't have fat in your brisket, or you could even slice it. It's almost just as easy to peel, literally just peel it off. You always want to cut against the grain when slicing a brisket. The grain runs this way so you can see it. So I'm going to cut like this against the grain. If you cut with the grain, a lot of times it's not as tender. So we're going to start cutting. Hopefully it turned out good. We'll see. You want about pencil length apart. Looks like the juices is flowing through it, so that's a good sign. Pretty bouncy, but we'll see. I want to cut kind of thick. That's good. Pull to it. Great snap. That's exactly what you want as far as the snap of a brisket. Great jiggle. I think overall it turned out really good brisket. Great. Good brisket. It's got great bend, give to it. If you guys have any questions, just comment on it and I'll try to answer it back. But if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and like the video. Thank you, guys.